Okay, so now that I have put the everything in place and it works good, I've got the ground actually going to the negative and the positive going to the positive, which is brown and white, and the negative is the black one. Everything's working fine. Now it's time to take off the fairing, drill a hole, and install this bad boy with some new Pro Grip Rally grips. These are, I think, the 714s that everybody loves. And I'm also going to install some TUSK handguards. Okay, so the keen observer is going to notice this is a totally different video. This is later. I've actually decided to take this switch out of the back here, and I've covered up those holes with electrical tape, and I've used 3M dual lock on the bottom of that. You can see it. It holds it on really, really well. 3M dual lock is like really, really powerful duct tape, or not duct tape. Really, really powerful Velcro. Anyway, it brings the switch out. It's closer to me, way more convenient, and I don't have to reach back in there. And there's no tightness issues with the fairing. Whereas when it was up in the fairing, the cords were a little too short, or the wires that came out of the grips. And while it's here, there's plenty of room for the handlebars to turn freely. So I highly recommend putting it there. And if you don't want to fabricate something, then come on, just dual lock it on there and it'll work fine. A little bit ghetto, but I'm not really concerned about that, obviously. Now what I'm going to do is try to remove these nasty foam grips, and then I'm going to drill a hole through here for my TUSK hand guards, but I don't need to drill a hole on the other side because the other side just has a hole already. Okay, so that took about 15 seconds. This one has no glue on it whatsoever. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that the foam stayed on there. Here they are. I basically just ripped it by myself. Don't like foam grips. Anyway, so yeah, I pretty much tore that one off with my hands. This one's going to be a little more work, I believe, because it's got this rubbery stuff. Now, here's the thing, though. They say that when you put a heater grip on this side, you want some kind of insulation right there. So, I'm actually not going to bother removing this stuff before I put on my other thing, because I was going to wrap this with electrical tape anyway, because that way it actually heats the grip instead of just warming the bar inside. So I'm going to leave this kind of gunky plasticky stuff on and see if that yields anything. If my grip comes off in like a month, then that will suck, but we'll all learn a lesson. So I'm just going to try it. Okay, so as you can see, this needs to be drilled, as I've pointed out before. Now, this isn't just instructional, this is to also show you that I'm kind of a moron, and I don't have the right tools. But what I did find was this thing. I call it my BAD. You can understand what that stands for. But basically, I'm pretty sure it's for drilling through concrete. I'm going to give it a whack with that. It's the only bit that I could find that'll actually, make a nice wide hole there. Then I'll have to kind of just scrape out the rest with a razor blade or a little circle file. So, here goes nothing. Okay, so the BAD worked, but the hole it drilled is only about that big. So I've got this bit, came with the BAD. Okay, I wish I could have filmed that. In fact, I should have gotten my helmet cam. But this is basically... Oh, I'm sorry. This is basically what it looks like. But it worked. Look at the side of that hole. That'll work perfectly. I'm sorry, I'm a goon. Jeez. Okay, anyway, I'll file that down and we'll get started. Okay, now that I have a comically large hole in my grip, which I guess is totally normal because the handguard fits, it's time to install my heated grips. I've made sure that there's plenty of length on each side, and I'm looking for a way that I can maybe reinforce this area here. Maybe put some tape here or something, and then kind of bring it back with a little bit of slack so there's not so much pressure there ever. We'll see how it goes though. I'm going to go ahead and stick these on and just hope for the best. Okay, so here is the throttle side with the heater applied to it. I stuck it on there really nice. Now the thing is, you can see that I've left some cord right here. I'm going to actually zip tie this up here after I reinforce it with some stuff. That way, when I twist the throttle, it's not going to pull on that. You know what I mean? And so it just leaves lots of room. I will have a little loop there, but I figure that's better than yanking anything out. So now I'm going to stick it onto the other side. Okay, so I have a little confession to make. On this side, it's stuck on nicely. However, I am going to reinforce it with a little bit of tape right there, electrical tape, just so see if it slides on a little easier rather than having that plastic ridge. However, on this side, where I left that stuff on, it barely stuck. So I reinforced it with obviously more electrical tape. And you might be asking me, well, what if your grips slide off? Well, they're not going to slide off because I'm going to have a bar coming around, okay? So I'm really not worried about the grips sliding that way. I do have some grip stick, which I'm going to use, and hopefully it works well with this. I'd imagine it will. Dang, freaking mosquitoes. Okay, so here's another confession. There are mosquitoes all over in here. See that little guy? Mosquito. Anyway, there's a bat in my garage. Right there. Oh, guy. I'm like a foot away from him. And, come on. There's mosquitoes in here to be eaten. Do your job. Okay, so I thought this was important enough to show that I actually got my helmet cam out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Scott stuff and kind of goop it around here, and then I'm just going to slide this one on. Now this one is the bigger one, so this goes on the throttle tube, okay? Alright. Just kind of glob it on there. Nice and liberal with it. So I'm only going to put it on the top. Ooh, it smells wonderful. Alright, here we go. Here goes nothing. Just kind of twisting it on. I'm sure there are much easier ways to do this. So, YouTube those. And if for some reason you find this slightly erotic, then go see a psychologist. Alright, I actually found something that's pretty awesome. If you get a screwdriver and you stick it in there, carefully, obviously, you don't need to go the whole way, and you just kind of roll it around like this. You can actually just kind of roll the whole thing on, and it works quite well. Like that. Anyway, so I'll kind of straighten that out so it doesn't look too squampus. Pull it out. That probably got the whole thing on in about 10 seconds, whereas the other method, not only was it slightly disturbing, it also took forever. So, use a screwdriver, stick it in there, kind of roll it around, and that works a lot better. Okay, here we are. I'm a sweaty wreck, but the grips are finally installed. The heated grips are on there as well. All I have to do now is zip tie these to the places where they need to go. So, next thing, I'm going to put on my TUSK handguards, which should be really easy. Basically, you know what? It's so easy, I'm not even going to record much of it. You take this, you put it in this hole, you stick it in there, and then you attach this to the inside of your handlebar, okay? Easy as that. Put it down here over your controls so they don't break. That's all you need to do. Okay, so here is the final product without the fairing on. I still have some zip ties to clip and some more things to tape. Got this kind of bundled down here, which is pretty ghetto. I'm going to zip tie that up here. One thing to caution about when you do your switch here, it's going to pull here, okay? That's something I didn't realize, that these cables that the TUSK one has just aren't that long. And when you turn your wheel, it's going to strain right there, and it's going to pull it a little bit. Another thing, it's going to strain on this side too, if you have that little loop there, to make sure that your throttle goes. Another thing that I noticed, and this is super unsafe, this will stick. So yeah, I'll have to get used to that. Hopefully I don't get killed. Anyway, that's the story. Put the fairing back on, you can see how it looks. Okay, so now for a little something about these TUSK hand guards. Do not over tighten the one on the throttle tube side. Don't over tighten it. It'll make your grip stick, basically, and so, or not your grip, but your throttle stick, which is totally unsafe. Mine is just a little bit wobbly on there. Well, no, it's not actually. But what I did was I put some thread lock in there, and then just tightened it so it's still, so the throttle still twist and come back. So make sure that you are testing the throttle if it's still moving freely when you tighten this up, okay?